All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Go ahead and start this here. I think we have someone coming in. All right. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you again for joining the Alamance-Guilford section for our financial empowerment and financial literacy week. We are at our last night, which I hate for it to end. My name is Margie McLean, and I am the president of the Alamance-Guilford section, excuse me. Before we get started, I would like to see if we have any members who are on who would like to introduce themselves, who are part of the Alamance-Guilford section. Do we have any members? Okay. I think I see one, which is Miss Georgia Shepherd, who is on. So one, I would like to thank everyone. First of all, before we get started, I would like to thank everyone who was a part of the series. I especially would like to thank Miss Anissa Short and Miss Michelle Ballard for becoming one of our speakers. We have been feasting all week, and now we're coming to our dessert. And so I'm excited about learning about small businesses and what's the benefit of the small businesses. And the biggest thing is, how can we fund our small business? So before we get started, I do want to give a small video to look at some of our collegiates. And one of the collegiates that we will show tonight is North Carolina Central University. So we'll have a small little video about our collegiate section. So let me pull that up quickly. Okay. All right.
NCNW basically is a sisterhood. We stand for community involvement, advocacy for the African American community. NCNW, I joined it. I was basically a freshman looking for friends. And when they came knocking on my door during a rush night, it kind of stood out to me because I'm an only child, so I always look for sisters, and this organization I felt like was the right fit.
To me, it means sisterhood, mentorship, and community service. So far in my reign during NCNW, we have got a chance to go into the Durham community and help out. For me, I am a junior here at North Carolina State University, and this is one of the best organized sisterhood that I've joined. I love it. So yeah, that's why I joined NCNW.
NCNW to me means sisterhood. We come together as one and we're a family with a bit of community service to add.
Having the ladies from NCNW was an amazing experience. They were very engaged with our elderly people here at the Durham Center for Senior Life. I am looking forward to working with them again. They were very helpful, very engaged, and this was a great and amazing experience.
To me, NCNW is always having a sister there for you.
All right. So if you are interested in joining NCNW, please make sure that you can email me at Alamance-Guilford section, Alamance-Guilford, ncnw.org. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our speakers. All right. Our first speaker is Miss Anissa Short. As a business coach, she's an advocate for the home-based entrepreneur. She uses her platform of workshops and facilitators and contributing writers and podcast hosts and international bestseller author to educate, encourage, and empower others representing in the home-based business industry. As a home-based entrepreneur since 1999, she has built an organization within the direct sale industry that includes clients and business colleagues within several states. By way of summits and workshops hosted to support women in business, she is known as an influencer, a collaborator, passionate about creating winning teams. Prior to her entrepreneurship endeavors, Anissa worked in the fields of sales and banking and finance in approximately 12 years with the federal government. While gaining employment within her sector, she served as a mentor and trainer locally, statewide, and regionally. She also served as a board member of 2 nonprofit organizations that address the concerns of women and family in crisis. In addition to being a certified Christian life coach, her background includes a BAA, MBA, and PhD in the area of business and administration. In her spare time, she loves to read and enjoy quiet time at the beach with her husband and the biggest supporter, Alfonso Short. Can we give a hand to Miss Anissa Short? Okay. All right. Next, we have Miss Michelle Ballard. All right, Miss Ballard is a native of Wilson, North Carolina. She is a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, North Carolina, Agriculture and Technical State University, North Carolina A&T, Western Carolina University, and BB&T's Leadership Development Program. She has experience as a commercial banker, a portfolio risk manager, and a regional credit officer for a Fortune 500 company. As she has spent years working to spend small and mid-sized business owners achieve economic success and financial security. Michelle is a workshop presenter and a conference speaker with an emphasis on practical principles for achieving financial success. All right. And so she has released her first book, Don't Die Dreaming, 10 Keys to Living the Life of Your Dream in 2015. Don't Die Dreaming chronicles Michelle's journey from an administrative assistant to vice president of a Fortune 500 financial institution, as well as her journey to complete the book while overcoming many obstacles and delay along the way. This book will give you permission to dream again, to hope again, and to believe that your every dream can come true. Not only will the book give you permission to dream, but it will also give you the tools necessary to walk into your dreams. If we can, please, let's give Ms. Michelle Ballard a hand. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with our first speaker, which is Dr. Short. If she can go ahead and share her screen, and she can begin. You're on mute.
All right. Hello, everybody. Great evening, great Friday night. Thank you so very much again, Margie, for the introduction. Thank you so very much to this entire organization for even hosting this platform. To everyone who went before us, I'm sure you did a phenomenal job. I jumped on and off periodically throughout the week. And so to even host a platform such as this is phenomenal. So congratulations on a successful event. Thank you for what you do in the community. I am too an HBCU graduate. Let me tell you, it's nothing like the HBCU environment. And so I love what you're doing in our community and on that level, creating a sisterhood community for young adults so that they can grow into something even bigger and greater as they matriculate through college and as they become successful adults. As Margie has already stated, my name again is Anissa Short, and I have been building a business from home since 1999. Now, honestly, I never thought I'd be doing what I do, but I absolutely love what I do. And today's segment is not really about me specifically, but about joining the movement of becoming a successful entrepreneur from within the walls of your home. I'm an advocate for home-based entrepreneurship because I know the blessing that it has been for me individually, because I have been engaged in the home-based business industry within my own individual business platform, and because of the relationships I've built with others in other platforms, I know the blessing that it has been financially for many other people. I truly believe that even those who are gainfully employed, if you have a job that you work 40 hours a week, if you have gainful employment, you are blessed. But I really believe everyone with a W-2 should have a home-based business. And I really believe that having a home-based business can be or is one of the keys to improving your financial platform. So today, what I'm going to do, skipping through my intro, is just to tell you a little bit about why I'm very passionate about this. I want to touch on some of what some of the experts say. I want to provide you some practical examples, and I want to leave you with something to think about. If not you, someone close to you. What this just says basically is that, as I've already stated, I've embarked upon the journey of entrepreneurship from the home-based perspective years ago. And what I found is that there are a lot of smart, savvy, gifted, talented, equipped women That's my niche market. I love my men. Don't get me wrong, because I'm married to one, but I'm very passionate about helping my girlfriends from all walks of life. Women are not really trying to have it all. They just want something more. They want something better. And despite the fact that we've gone to school, we've gotten the education, and we've landed the great jobs, a lot of us find ourselves financially behind the eight ball, and we can't figure out why. Why a movement? In 1994, there was a report done by Shriver that stated that when you think about women in general, 90% of all women will eventually, if not already, have sole responsibility of the finances in their lives. But 79% of those women were not prepared. 70% of the nation's poor are women and children. 2/3 of American women are primary co-breadwinners of their household. So if one of those people lose their job, they're in trouble, financial trouble, real fast. And even though women outnumber men in higher education, men still make more than money than women. Now that's a disgrace, but we'll talk about that for another time. That's a topic for another day, right? So why the movement? Education is not an effective pay gap solution. We've been told that. I was told that get your education, you'll make make good money, get a great job, and I did that. I got an education. I went to school multiple times. You all see my accomplishments. But when the system is set to pay men more than they pay women, when the system is set to pay men to do the same job that women do, and women tend to be the head of the household at greater numbers, then what do they do when they have more month than money? Okay, your education is great, but the education does not automatically garner an additional paycheck. Okay, what society tells them to do is to go get a part-time job when we find ourselves behind the eight ball. Or we stay on a job that we're not happy with, and we talk about the inequities, and we feel like we can't do anything more. Well, I am here to give you a little insight on what I found. What I know for sure is life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. And we've got to shift our paradigm and think of things in a different way. And what I'm about to share with you is not something that's abnormal to us, especially in the African-American community, because many of us, if we think back, our parents and grandparents oftentimes had a job and then they did something else at home. But we never thought about it as an entrepreneurial venture. Grandmama just sewed, grandmama just cooked. Granddaddy just did this, that, and other. We've had entrepreneurs in our family historically, and we didn't see it as such, but that's exactly what they did. And that's what helped them to get over the hump, so to say. All right, so let's talk about a home-based business. Now, before I go into full detail, let me just say this. 1 second. Pardon me, this pollen is getting to me. Let me just say this. I am not what I consider to be an expert. What I'm going to share with you comes from my experience. So from that perspective, I have experience practically because I've worked and built a home-based business since 1999. But when you take that into consideration and couple with that, the fact that I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in business, and I have a doctoral degree in administration, and then I've worked in the areas of sales, banking, and finance, and I've worked in the areas of the corporate world as well as federal. I have a little experience to back me up. When I talk about a home-based business from a financial standpoint, and I'm going to touch on taxes briefly, I tell you that from a practical experience, not because I'm a certified public accountant. Everybody's financial situation is different. Your deductions and all of that jazz, vary. So I want to encourage you to talk to a certified public accountant about you specifically. But I am going to say this. Prove me wrong. That's all I'm going to ask you to do is prove me wrong, because I've seen too many times when having a home-based business has helped women from various walks of life, from various socioeconomic statuses. So I speak from an experience, not because I took the class. Well, I did take the class because I got a minor in accounting, but that's another story for another time. So let's move on. So why a home-based business? Why do I encourage you to join the movement? Let's talk today about what the experts say about building a home-based business. Let's talk about would now be a good time to start a home-based business. Let's talk about who really has achieved success, because I believe in practical examples. And the examples I'm going to give you, 2 of the 4 that I'm going to show you, I know personally. How could you benefit from having a home-based business? And then let's talk about when would be a good time to start. All right, let's talk about the experts. Now, I've only quoted 2 people here. Ken Donaldson, CEO of Real Wealth, said this: after the big recession of 2008, many Americans found themselves without jobs, homes, and savings. We realized that we really can't rely on our 401ks to keep us safe. It's up to us to achieve financial freedom for ourselves. A home-based business is the way to go. Now, this was Ken Donaldson's quote after all of the drama that happened in 2008. Well, whether you guys know the signs or not, 2008 is getting ready to happen again. It's getting ready to happen again. Dave Ramsey, he's an influencer in the financial realm, and he says that the worst thing you can do is get a second job. The best thing you can do is start a home-based business. I oftentimes tell women, if you find that you have more month than money, rather than go get the part-time job at the mall or at the big box stores, consider doing something for yourself within the walls of your home. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that is so significant. Would now be a good time to start a home-based business? Well, when you consider that 1/3 of Americans have no retirement savings, I would say yes. When you could consider that roughly 3/4 of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, I would say yes. When you consider that 40% of households currently have buku, that's not a, you won't find that word, I don't think, in the dictionary, but y'all know what buku is, a whole lot of student loan debt, I would say yes. And when you consider the fact that 40%, 46%, almost half of Americans cannot cover a $400 emergency with their savings, I would say yes, now is a good time to start a home-based business. So what about you? Do you have, or let's just say, let's not make it personal. Maybe you know somebody, okay? Maybe your cousin or your aunt or your BFF, someone in your family, someone in your sorority, someone at your church. Do they have more month than money? Do they have an emergency fund? You know, enough money saved up to pay their household bills for the next 2, 5, or 10 months? Do they have funds set aside for the college education of their children? Do they have enough money saved for retirement? Or have they even projected what they need? Here's another question. If death, disability, divorce, or downsizing knocked on your door, how soon would you be in financial trouble? One thing I want to offer and extend to all of you tonight is this: time is money, money is time, and we need to maximize both. We need income, but we also need flexibility, because as women, we wear a lot of hats. And if you are an awesome wife, a dynamic mom, if you're a caregiver for your parents, the last thing you want to think about is not having what it is you need to fulfill your obligations. Money answers all things. That's what the word of God tells us. So don't act like you don't need it, because you do. And don't act like you wouldn't want to get more of it, because you would. And the more you have, the more you not only can take care and fulfill the needs that you have in your immediate sphere, but you'll be a blessing to other folk. Let's talk a little bit about a few success stories. Action is the foundational key to all success. So don't tell me you need to pray about it, think about it, talk to whatever about it. Because if you need the money and you need the money to improve the quality of your life, there's nothing to pray about, because God already says he wants us to have a life of abundance. Now, I'm a Christian. I don't apologize for that. So every now and again, I may reference something that you've heard before in Sunday school or in church, okay? So listen, I'm going to share some stories with you about 4 women who either are currently still building their businesses from home, or their businesses started from home. Debbie Fields, how many of you know her cookies? Okay, raise your hand. Everybody know them cookies, right? All right. Did you know she started her business in her home in 1977? Bored. Love baking cookies. The cookies went from being sold in her home to being sold in the mall. She started her business from her home. Did you know that? Many people don't. We know about Mrs. Fields in the mall, but she started her business within the walls of her home. Gloria Mayfield Banks, she's one of my mentors. She's a Harvard graduate. She was working at Harvard University when she started her home-based business. She's now been a home-based entrepreneur for about 30 years. She is still operating her business till this day. She did this just to make extra money to pay for childcare, because she was getting ready to divorce her husband. Gloria has now earned over $14 million since starting her business. Now, you know Harvard was not going to pay her $14 million. Let's be clear, right? But that's what she started. She started her home-based business, and that's what she's accomplished. Are you familiar with Julie Agner? Many people don't know her by name, but you've heard of Baby Einstein. Baby Einstein is an educational platform for babies, for children. They can watch from home. Julie Agner Clark was the woman who started that company in 1996. She found that there was a need. There was no educational materials out there for small children. So she created something. When she sold her business to Disney right after 2001, the business was worth $12 million. Now I want you to think about that and do the math. How many years between 1996 and 2001? How many years? That's not very many years. Do you think she was going to find a part-time job that was going to pay her $12 million in that short time frame? I doubt it. But she was able to fulfill a necessity, fulfill a need within the walls of her home, and then it ended up resulting in her having more than she ever dreamed or imagined. Then we have a young lady here, Miss Gloria. Miss Gloria is not, Gloria Castano is not from the United States, but when she came here, of course, she was a housewife, a young mother, wanted to find something to do. She's a multimillionaire working within the walls of her home. Well, now it says here 38 years, but she's since retired. But Miss Gloria Castano, not only has she been able to build a very comfortable lifestyle for she and her family, but she's been able to bless other women along the way, help them with the transitions that they needed because she has the finances. So having more money is not just simply about being able to pay your bills or you and yours and, you know, between your four walls. It's about having more than enough to be able to feel comfortable, to be debt free, to not have any needs, but then to be able to bless others as well. These are 4 practical examples. And let me tell you what the benefits are of having a home-based business. Statistically, it's been said 82% of the women who earn $100,000 or more do it through a home-based business. Think about that. The women that you don't think work, you know, oftentimes will say, well, you know, her husband works at XYZ company, but she don't really do anything. You know, she's a housewife. So call her. She's not busy. She's not busy. She could serve on the XYZ committee. She could do some extra time. She can volunteer at the library when you don't know that she's operating a business from the walls of her home. The home-based business industry is a $400 billion industry. Home-based business industry. That means people who work from home are generating $400 billion annually in revenue into the United States economy. And approximately 3/4 of those engaging in the home-based business industry are women. So you think about it. Women at home earn $100,000 or more. They're generating $400 billion in the United States economy. I'm a part of the direct sales industry, which is an umbrella under the home-based business industry. And the direct sales industry generates anywhere between $30 to $36 billion in revenue in the United States economy. And its statistics are pretty much the same. About 3/4 engaging in the direct sales industry are women working part-time, not full-time, part-time. So when we think part-time jobs, we think about going to the big box stores and working at the mall anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 hours. What if you could apply that same amount of time? We talked about maximizing our time, using that same amount of time or less within the walls of your home. If income from your traditional job is not sufficient, you've got to create what you need. Your earning potential is directly in proportion to your performance when you work for yourself. You don't have to wait for someone else to validate you or to control your raise or your promotion or to decide when you've done enough to get the extra money that you need. Use the money that you can to pay off, that you earn or pay yourself, to pay off debt, to save for your retirement, whatever your need might be. When you have a home-based business, the tax deductions are advantageous. I mentioned earlier that we wanted to maximize our time, but we also want to maximize our money. And when you have a home-based business, many of the expenses that you pay every month can become, in portion, a taxable deduction. Now, this is where you need to talk to your certified public accountant. Okay, that's my disclaimer. I'm going to insert that. But let me just tell you an example. And I'm offering this to you from experience. If you live in a home and you have extra rooms, those rooms can become a home office. And because you have a home office, now Uncle Sam says that a portion of your utility bill, a portion of your mortgage payment, a portion of your property taxes, A portion of the upkeep of that home now becomes a taxable deduction. If you are paying a mortgage or rent or paying utilities already, or paying for someone to do the lawn, or paying for a security system, or paying for a housekeeper, you're already paying those expenses every single month. Why not allow a portion of that to count from a tax perspective? Now, will you always see an advantage? I believe you will, because I've not seen anyone not receive an advantage. One example of a young lady that I began to mentor about 3 years ago. Single mom, worked in the food industry, but she's a manager. She was like a district manager over several stores, made decent money. And she said, Anissa, I'm always owing. Even though I have children, I've always owed. I don't know how to get over the hump. Every year I owe, and I just make a payment arrangements, and I'm paying Uncle Sam every single month. I said, trust me, this is going to be a different year for you. I can't tell you you're going to get a big refund, but I will tell you that this year's experience is not going to be as the previous if you follow what I tell you and follow the pattern. What ended up happening after she filed her taxes, she's calling me screaming in the phone because she was so excited. I said, so did you owe this year? She says, no, I didn't. I said, did you get a refund? She says, kinda. I said, what does that mean? She says, I did earn a refund, but I didn't bring it home. But I earned enough money to be able to wipe out the debt that I owe from previous year's taxes. And her accountant said it was because she had the home-based business. Another example, a lady that I mentored, she was gainfully employed with the federal government. She had a home-based business as a single woman, and she filed her taxes. And when she retired from her traditional job, she decided she would retire also. Before she retired from her job, she thought she would retire from her business, and she did. So the following year, after she stopped operating her business, she did her taxes and she owed. So she wrote the check. Then the next year, she filed her taxes and she owed, and she had to write the check. So now she's approaching the third year and she owed again. And she said to her accountant, why am I having to pay all of a sudden? I've not had to. I went so long without having to pay, and I'm having to pay this year, and I'm having to pay the last 2 years. What has changed? And her accountant said, well, Sharon, you stopped operating your home-based business. So guess what Sharon did? Sharon called me and said, I need to get my business going because I'm trying to retire. I can't keep affording to pay these taxes every year. Another benefit of having your own business is because when you work at home, and especially if you have children, you get to be home with your kids. You could be working in one room while they're in another room. You don't have the childcare expense. You don't have to worry about their safety because they're somewhere else, okay? Oftentimes, it's not an option with a traditional part-time job. You have to work when they tell you to work. When you work for yourself, you set your own hours, okay? And then here's another thing. When you have small children, you pass on the skills of free enterprise to your children. I don't have children, unfortunately, but I have nephews. And when they spend the summers with me, they're very engaged in work activity. They think it's fun, but they're actually doing simple things that I have them do. So that helps me with my business. When you have children, you teach your children the importance of self-sufficiency, free enterprise. You teach them how to create and set goals. It helps boost their confidence. When children are raised in that type of entrepreneurial environment, those are the skill sets that they gain. Guess what? When you work for yourself, you got less stress. When you have a headache, you just go take a nap. You don't have to ask for time off. You just make a decision that today I'm going to have some me time. Today I'm going to go to the spa. I'm not going to work on Fridays because that's going to be the days I spend time with my family, and that's going to be date night with my man. You get to set your own hours. And when you set the priorities for your life and your family, you automatically have less stress. Now let's talk a little bit about personal growth. The experience you gain in operating your own personal business, I say, makes you more marketable. Because when you're in business for yourself, you direct your activities, you market your business, you set your own goals, you come up with your sales strategy or the strategies you need, you do your own promotions, and therefore you gain the experience by way of what you're doing practically and what your mentor offers to you. And when you do that, you make yourself more marketable. Absolutely you do. So whatever you don't gain from your traditional job, you definitely can gain in having a business of your own. Here are just a few quotes from a few people that you may be familiar with. There's Amy Cook is a founder of Be My Guest. She said, running my own business is empowering. I get to set my own hours, call the shots, and contribute to my family. Sarah Blakely, you all may not know her, but y'all know what Spanx are, right? Yes, we do. Thank God for Spanx. Don't be intimidated by what you don't know. The greatest strength, that can be your greatest strength, and ensure that you do things differently from someone else. If there's nothing else you guys take from what I'm sharing with you, is this. Honestly, If you need the extra money, whether it be for just for gas and groceries or to totally transform your financial situation, before you go get the traditional part-time job, start a business of your own. Madam CJ Walker, we just watched her documentary, I think on Lifetime. She's a self-made millionaire. And I say Madam CJ Walker really was a part of the direct sales industry because she sold health and beauty products and she did it from door to door. She says, I'm not satisfied in making money for myself. I endeavor to provide employment for hundreds of women in my race. She was a self-made millionaire. She helped other women become financially successful, right? But here's the thing that you may not know about Madam CJ Walker. When you watch the documentary, it talked about her starting her business somewhere around 1913. She started her business in 1913. There was a pandemic going on. What do we have going on right now? COVID-19 is a pandemic. So we can't talk about the times in which we're living and maybe this is not a good time because Madam CJ Walker paved the way for us by experience. So when is a good time, ladies, to start a home-based business? If not for yourself, someone you know, I said let today be the start of something new. Mary Kay Ash, who is a known to be very successful woman in business, created a platform for women to be able to work from home. She says, don't limit yourself. Many people limit themselves to what they think they can do. You can go as far and as your mind lets you. What you believe, remember, you can achieve. So if there's nothing else that I leave with you today, ladies, I'm going to say this. Remember, your time is your most valuable resource, and so is money. Money answers all things. If you don't have enough of it, you have the gifts, the talents, and the skill sets to create it. Rather than finding the traditional part-time job, start your home-based business. If you have a job that you love, you are blessed. If you're working one or two jobs, you are blessed because you got the wherewithal and the strength to do it. But if we're talking about maximizing our time in order to create the money that we need, then a home-based business, in my opinion, is the better option. It is the better option. With that being said, Margie, that's the end of my presentation. I'll be open for questions at the end after we hear from our next fabulous presenter. But thank you, ladies, again for this opportunity. And I hope I said something to make you think a new thought.
Thank you so much, Dr. Short. I really appreciate it. It was very helpful. I hope that whoever is listening right now, I hope they look into starting a business of their own. I have started my own, and I know we have now. We have on here my first vice president, Ms. Taliyah Jones. If she would like to, if she can real quick, introduce her business, because she just started her own nonprofit organization. So if she could tell us a little bit about her nonprofit.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Taliyah, and I'm first vice president of NCNW. I started a nonprofit last year called Kinsley Me and Company, and the overall mission is to provide baby items to women and children in the PTI community. They are able to come to the organization and get free diapers, wipes, any baby essentials they needed. We have our 1-year anniversary coming up in May, so we're preparing for that. It's going to be really special, really big. And that is my business, is my passion, is what I enjoy, the nonprofit sector. This will be my third event, hosting community baby showers. And if you have more interest in what I do for the community, and I'm also looking for a board of directors, I can give you more information towards my website. And thank you all for joining tonight. I was put on a spot, but it's okay.
I know. Your president, Cham.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to introduce my first vice president. I didn't know if that was, I see Joy, but I'm not quite sure if that's Dr. Joy Lowe on here or not, but okay. So I just wanted to let you know that we do have some women on here who are starting their business, and so just to introduce, and that's another reason why we're having this event as well, is to connect our business owners and also to help business owners to move forward with their business, because sometimes it's things that we don't know that someone else knows, and also those who are trying to start a business but just don't know where to start. This is a good platform for that. So please have your questions ready towards the end. So now we're going to move to Miss Michelle Ballard. She's going to tell us, first we find out you need to get started with a small business and the benefit of having a small business. Now, Miss Michelle Ballard is going to come on and talk to us about how can we fund those businesses. So I turn it over to you, Miss Ballard.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. Hold on for a second. Let me get back to presentation. Share my screen. Sorry about that. Again, I'm Michelle Ballard. Let me talk while I try to find my presentation. Something's happened here. I'm Michelle Ballard. I am a commercial banker for BB&T, now Truist. I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. I love what I do. I started as a small business banker almost 20 years ago, and I love to focus on helping people that look like me get small business loans because there weren't very many when I first came into the position. And so that became my passion, it still is. Since that time, I moved on and I'm now the person behind the scenes that nobody ever sees. And I actually approve commercial loans and I approve mid-size and larger loans. But my passion is still helping people to start their businesses, to grow their businesses, because, you know, that is what builds wealth. And it's amazing for the past probably about 6 or 7 years, I served in Washington, DC area, the greater Washington area. And I was simply amazed. And I can tell race by names. You can just figure it out. And I was actually amazed at the fact that I had to struggle to find a name that looked like me in DC, you know, applying for loans. And so my question was always, why are we not applying for those for commercial loans or small business loans? You know, what's going on? And even our bank actually had like massive strategic plans and projects trying to do outreach to say, you know, why aren't they coming? What can we do better to get them in the bank? And so I just really appreciate this organization for the work you're doing. This is a phenomenal platform. I've been on a couple of nights this week, just kind of popped on and just really enjoy the presentations. But the work you're doing is amazing. It's needed because we are in the middle of a pandemic. And again, my passion is banking. My passion is personal finances. And so to see people, you know, have a job one day and because of no fault of their own, because of the pandemic, you know, they couldn't pay their rent, didn't have food, just struggling. And my mind always went back to, they didn't have a backup plan. They didn't have an emergency fund. And those are things that I love to teach and show you the importance of why. But if anything, the pandemic has shown us the importance of saving, not spending everything you get. The importance of having an emergency fund, because, you know, some people haven't been back to work and it's been a year. And so it's just very important. But I'm very passionate about this work. And so again, thank you for the work you're doing and thank you for the opportunity. And so I'm going to try again to try to get my presentation up. There it is there. There it is. Okay. Can you guys see that? Okay, great. All right, so we're going to talk about now how to finance your small business. So the first things first that I want you to know, when you go into a bank to apply for a loan, understand that you are your business. When you think about obtaining financing or a loan for your business, you must realize that you are your business. And so the bank says we're going to underwrite your loan. They're basically saying we're going to analyze you. They're going to analyze how you manage your personal finances, how you manage your personal credit, and how you manage your personal net worth. So they're gonna basically underwrite you personally, not your business, because you are the business. If you die tomorrow, if you walk away, the business means nothing. It's all about you. So please know that it's very important that you understand that whether or not your business qualifies for a loan depends mostly on you. So I'm going to take you behind the veil and demystify the process of small business lending. I think that what I have discovered over the years is that because we don't know bankers personally, We don't know. We don't have friends or uncles or nieces or, fathers for the most part that are commercial bankers. So we're afraid of the process. So I'm going to take you behind the scenes and let you know what we look for as bankers when you apply for a small business loans. And so the main thing that we look at, there are a lot of different pieces to this puzzle, but it's basically called the 5 C's of credit. We look at 5 things when you walk into a bank to apply for a loan. We look at your character. That is hugely important. Your capacity, your ability to pay us back. We look for collateral. We look for capital. And we look at the conditions of the request. Does the request make sense? So again, we're going to focus on tonight the 5 C's of credit. And these are the things that any banker is going to look at when you apply for a small business loan. So the first thing a bank wants to know when you walk into the bank and apply for a loan is, how are we going to get paid back? How are we going to get repaid? And so capacity is your ability to repay the debt as agreed. So if you apply for a loan, $50,000, you're supposed to pay back $1,000 a month for 5 years or 4 years. We want to look at, can you show us on paper how you're going to pay us back? Do you have the ability to repay the debt as agreed? And loans are repaid from cash flow or net profit from the business. So with the exception of the startup period, the expectations that you will make enough money to repay the loan as agreed. Now, when I'm saying net profit, you may be saying, what is she talking about? Net profit, what is that? So net profit or cash flow is revenues, that's the sales you bring in, minus your expenses, equal net profit. So based on whatever your net profit is, that should be enough to service the debt, to cover your monthly payment each month. Now, during the startup stage of the business, that's when you first start the business, you first open your doors. If the business cannot cover the loan payments based on, because they have no income yet, we know that, we're going to look for the owner to pay us back. So we want to make sure that whoever, Taliyah, if you come in to get a loan from us, we're going to look at your personal income to say, can she pay us back for the first 6 months, 12 months until the business is on solid footing. And so the more to that story is, keep your day job or have savings. So you can't say, I have a dream, I have no income, I'm coming to the bank, I need a loan, I'm going to quit my job, or I've already quit my job. So the business has no income and you have no income. That's a negative. So you want to make sure there's some way that we can be sure that you're going to pay us back. And again, that's through your day job until the business is stabilized or through savings. The next, one of the most important parts of applying for a loan is character. If you have the ability to pay us back, but you don't have the willingness to pay us back, which is your character, then that still could be a no. So some people may have gotten their parents to sign on for them. The business plan makes sense. They have going to keep their day job. When you pull their credit, it's a 540, it's a 520, and they have all these past due payments, all these collections. They still won't get that loan. So character is one of the most important requirements for obtaining credit to start or expand your business. This is so critical because your past repayment history is a strong indicator to the bank of your future repayments. Moreover, your credit score is an indicator of the level of risk the bank is taking as it relates to future payment. Therefore, the higher your credit score, the more likely you are to repay the debt as agreed. And one thing I do want to say here is that if you've had some credit issues, but you're trying to repair your credit, you're working hard, life happens. This pandemic, somebody had maybe a 740, 760, 780 credit score, but life happened during this pandemic, and it may have been there, maybe a 540 or 580 or 620. Life happens. If those things happen to you, don't let that be a hindrance to you going to applying for a loan, because if you can explain the situation and you're working to repair the situation, and suppose the issue happened 4 years ago, you've gotten a new job, you started rebuilding your credit, and you can show that this was a one-time event, this happened, and you can see from that time since I've been repaying my debt, then that can be, we can explain that away. It makes sense. If everything works out, you can still get a loan. So don't let just having a bad credit score or lower credit score stop you from applying for a loan. Again, if there's a one-time event, life happens, we can explain it, we have documentation, you can still get that loan, get approved for a loan. So character equals your loan repayment history, which is measured by your credit score. Again, character equals your repayment history, which is measured by a credit score. So a credit score simply gives a bank a number that tells us how well you repaid your loans. This is critical because not only does it dictate whether or not you obtain credit, but the price you pay for credit, i.e. the rate on your loan. We are in historical low times as far as mortgage rate interest rates. And so people now refinancing their mortgage loans, their bank loans at rates we've never seen before. I just, full disclosure, I just refinanced my mortgage with a 2.25 interest rate. And my financial advisor was like, that's just free money. But because I have a good credit score, I have, good credit history, I have this low rate. So I'm like, I'm going to take it. So your credit score can be the difference in you paying, having a 2.25 rate, which is almost free money, or 8 or 9% rate, which is a huge difference, which means most of your loan payment is going towards interest. So it takes you longer to pay it off. So you want to keep that rate as low as possible. The next C of credit is collateral. Collateral is used to secure the loan. It provides the bank with protection in the event of default on the loan. Default means you fail to repay the loan as agreed. And there are many types of collateral. There's equipment. So if you're buying equipment for your business, that could be a good form of collateral. Vehicles, if you're buying a vehicle. But if there's a loan where there's no hard collateral, then you have to bring some in. So that could be a CD, certificate of deposit, a lien on a savings account, a brokerage account. If you're buying a commercial building, that would be collateral. If you're buying a single family property, if you're investing in real estate, that will be your collateral. Now, the problem we have is that with many startup loans, they're denied because of the lack of or no collateral. Excuse me. But an option to that or a solution to that issue can be a lien on all business assets if you have no hard collateral with an SBA guarantee. And so SBA is huge in helping people who've done all the right things. The only thing they're missing is they don't have enough collateral. If that's the case, then SBA may be a solution where you can get the loan. SBA gives up to 90% guarantee to the bank, which makes the bank feel comfortable giving you that loan. So again, don't think, well, I don't have any hard collateral, I'm not going to the bank. No, if you have done all the right things, but you just don't have enough collateral, still go, and SBA may be an option for you. One way to position yourself is to be able to obtain financing, is to have equity in your home. So if you do have equity, if you do have a home, that is one way. And a lot of times I'm finding in most recent years, because banks are so hungry for loans, even if you don't have a lot of equity, the fact that you have a home, and suppose your loan is $100,000, you only have $20,000 in equity. Just because you have that home and we take a lien on it, that gives the bank some comfort to say, hey, she's not gonna let us take her home. So we feel better giving her that loan, even though we don't have the full amount of collateral. And again, another option would be, we take a lien on your home, but we also do SBA guarantee. So that just helps you and gives you a foot in the door if you have some equity in your home, or if you just simply have a home. We're talking about collateral, property type, marketability, and location are important to loan approval. So again, the location is key. If you want to start a restaurant, and you say, I have a building, but the building is somewhere back in the cut, we can't find it. There's no residential homes around it. Who's going to come to your business? So the location is very important. The next C of credit is capital. Capital equals financial flexibility. It includes cash available for a down payment and cash reserves after financing. Now, the standard down payment for a loan is 15 to 25% for business loans. However, with SBA guarantee, it can be as low as 10%. And this is an area, again, which many small business owners fail to plan. It is critical for you to save if you plan on starting a small business. And what I found in my time working with small business owners, they had a good plan. I worked with them to get the business plan to make sense. We could get comfortable with that. They got somebody to sign for them that had, they had good credit or marginal credit, acceptable credit. They got a uncle, a parent, somebody to sign that had really good credit. We could get the loan repaid as far as cash flow. We had SBA and maybe some collateral, but they didn't have any down payment. So SBA only does up to 90%. They want you to have at least 10%, because they're saying if you can't put 10% in your business, invest in your own business, why should we? And a lot of our clients did not even have the 10%. So again, that having that capital, that savings that you thought about, I want to start a business. I know I have an idea of how much I'm going to need as far as financing. So I have saved my 10%, my 15%, my 20%, and I have some cash that when I open the door, I haven't drained my account. I have no money. So if something happens, things don't go as planned. Our plans get delayed, construction's delayed, equipment's delayed, permits are delayed. I plan on opening a business in May, and now it's going to be October, November, December. But guess what? Your loan payment is still due. At least interest at a minimum. If you don't even have that, then that's a problem. So again, saving is very critical to starting a small business. Make sure you have that capital. And again, banks want to know that you are willing to make an investment in your own business and that you have cash in the event of an emergency. Now, what I will say that again, if you want to start a small business now, you are in prime time because there is so much capital as far as deposits. So banks lend money based on deposits they have. There's a lot of cash in banks now. So banks want to lend to, use that money. And so that makes them being more flexible. So even though you may have saved your 10, 15, 20%, they may now say, hey, we want to compete with the other bank to get your business. So we're only going to require you to put down 10%. You just keep the other 10%, keep it, as a emergency fund. So again, if you don't have the 15, you hear me say, oh my God, I don't have 15, 25%. I only have 10% or 8% of what I would need. Don't let that be a hindrance to you. Again, try, because again, if you go to the right banker, they're going to coach you and tell you this is what you need. They're going to say, well, Michelle, for what the product I can put you in, SBA requires 10%. You have 12%. We really would love you to have, an additional 5% or 10% as, emergency fund. So, but they'll walk you through, what they can do, what they can do. So I would just say, please, save as much as you can. But again, because of the times we're in, these are not normal times. So what I'm giving information for is what's normal. We're not in normal times now. We're in times now where all these banks that gave out PPP loans, that were not even true banks, they're now trying to lend to small business owners. They're trying to compete with banks. So now banks got to step their game up and be even more competitive. So again, you're in prime time to apply for a loan in the middle of a pandemic. All right, the last C of credit is conditions. And when I think about conditions, the bank considers the conditions of the loan request. What they want to know is, does the request make sense? So when you put everything else together, you have collateral, I can pay you back. I kept my day job. I have a business plan. I have these things, but does it make sense? I remember when I was back in the field years ago, and this guy who was so nice, and I coached him, and he came the first time he came to the bank, he has little business plan on like a one sheet of piece of paper. And I worked with him till we got like a full out business plan. And he went and got his mom to co-sign. And the first thing he came to me for made sense. First request. By the time he came back, this is like a year process. When he came back, he had his mom to co-sign, put her house up as a collateral. He was going to keep his job until he had his wife working in business. But he wanted to open a coffee shop in Alamance Crossing, and it was right near the Starbucks. And it didn't make sense. Nobody knew who he was. He had no experience running a coffee shop, but he loved coffee and he loved going to coffee shops. So at the end of the day, and I'm like, I can not let you, lose your mom's house, because you're going to lose it, because Starbucks is going to kill you, it's not going to work. So the request has to make sense. So when you go to a bank, they're going to look at, does this business plan make sense? Do these projections make sense? Are they realistic? We see people all the time that bring projections to the bank for a startup loan. and they're going to make $1 million in their first year, and they have no experience. When you ask, well, what assumptions did you make to get that? Well, and they just make up stuff, it doesn't make sense. And when it doesn't make sense, the bank is going to say no. So you want to make sure your deal makes sense. So I'll give you some examples. You want to purchase a building, but you're not making any money, i.e. a negative cash flow. So you started a small business, a home-based business. You're making some money, but it's not enough to cover debt. If you want to buy a building, that's a huge expense. When you do that, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make, you're not making any money. You have a negative cash flow. The bank is going to say no. You have no experience in a business that you want to operate, i.e. running a coffee shop, but you never own one, have no experience whatsoever, but you have a dream. That doesn't make sense. Again, we have to talk to so many people, and over the years I've had to say, but you have no experience. But I love shopping, and I think I can be, but you have do you have any experience? Did you work part-time? So again, it has to make sense. Here's another one. You make less than $1,000 a month selling cakes, but you want a loan from a bank for $100,000 to lease a space, buy equipment, and hire staff. Well, you can't even pay yourself or your staff on $1,000. So therefore, you surely can't pay back $100,000. So again, you want to make sure when you're going through your business plan, you want to look at what makes sense. And what I will say, again, as Anissa said, this is a perfect time. This is a perfect storm. And to me, what the pandemic has taught me is I want to live the life of my dreams. I do not want to go to anybody's business every day being miserable. I do not want to keep making somebody else, BB&T now Truist, millions of dollars when I can make myself millions of dollars. I want to live the life that God has called me to live. And I'm seeing so many people pivot in the midst of this pandemic, and they're doing amazing things. And what I look at as a banker, I'm saying, all these big box stores that are closing down, when we come back, somebody has to step into that space. Will that be you? Whatever your passion is, can you step into a space and fill a void that's been left now by the doors that have been closed because of a pandemic? Maybe it's God opening a door for you. And so take this time, take this information and sit back and say, God, is it my time? Am I saying, quit your job and go out here and ask for a loan to start a business? No, but start in your home and then work your way up. I have a girlfriend, one of my best friends, actually. She started a boutique about a year ago. In the middle of a pandemic, this girl has thrived so much during the pandemic. In April of 2020, so the pandemic really hit in March. In April of 2020, she made $30,000 in a boutique home. Is basically online in her house. She just actually leased a space. She got an actual space. She hasn't opened yet. She's going to take her time, but it's so she can have the space, fulfillment space, basically, to get all these orders out. I talked to her on Sunday, and she did a private live show, so online show on Saturday. On Sunday, she had 238 orders to get out in the middle of a pandemic. Now, for me, I have an issue with that because I'm a banker and because I manage my money. I manage my coins very well. So for me, I was saying, and she knows I said this, I said, who is shopping in the middle of a pandemic? Like, where are you going? You have nowhere to go. But people are shopping because they're emotional. They were stressed out. I get it. I ate in the middle of a pandemic. They shopped. But she took what she had. That's her passion. That's her love. She pivoted. She started with doing masks. She's able to get masks from China when nobody else could. That's what opened the door to the $30,000 a month. And then she just found a way, and she just keeps growing and growing and growing. So what I'm saying is, you think a boutique, an online boutique in the middle of a pandemic, God did that for her. Whatever your dream is, whatever your passion is, if God gave it to you, if you focus on that thing and lock in and get a plan and a strategy, and you may have to pivot here and there, figure out, well, that didn't work, let's go this way. But there are so many opportunities right now for you. And then when the time is right, as you build it, writing your business plan, as you're getting started, as you're pulling it all together, if you do need some financing, whether it's a $5,000 business credit card, it could be that small, that could make or break your business. So this is a time for you to be bold, be confident in what God's called you to do. And like Anissa said, working for somebody else and working a second job specifically, you can make $100,000 versus making a few thousand working for somebody else on a part-time job. You know, I choose to work for myself and to build a brand, to become, you know, I believe God's called me to millionaire status. I got to work for it, but there's so many opportunities for us right now. And so again, if you are thinking about starting a small business and you may need a small business loan, this is the time, because again, there's so much competition. And when there's competition, that means that the banks have to earn your business. And that means they give away things. They give away the bank. They give you the lower rates. They give you 100% financing on equipment loans versus making you pay 15% because they want you to take that loan. So don't be afraid. Get your plans together, get your thoughts together, and let's do it. So before I go, I want to give you some tips for obtaining bank financing. The first thing is keep good records. Include all income and expenses on business financials. And that's one thing we have a problem with, is that we don't keep good records. So I know many stylists, hairstylists, years ago that I tried to get into their own salons. They were doing fabulous hair, had clientele out the door. But when they came to me for a loan, the record said they made $20,000 a year. So we couldn't do the loan. So make sure you keep good records, include all of your income, all of your expenses. If you need to obtain an accountant, I would recommend you do so. I have one, and they just help you to keep things in order and tell you what's required for the IRS. Make sure you're keeping good records. Make sure you pay all bills, personal and business, on time, because again, you are your business. And so no matter what, we're going to look at, did you pay your bills on time? So making sure you pay all your bills, business and personal, on time. Keep your business plan current. And a business plan is simply a working, living document of where you are now and where you intend to go. So if you have a plan to open up a salon and you know, start out with 2 chairs and then build out of 4 chairs and then have multiple locations, that is your working plan, your strategic plan for your business. And you should make sure that's current at all times. It should be changing as you grow, as your business grows, as your business thrives. Have 24-month projections at all times. And projections, again, like the business plan, is where you are now and based on all the things you expect to happen based on what you're doing. I'm spending an additional $20,000 in marketing this year. Therefore, I expect the return on investment to be an additional 10-20% increase in sales. So again, make sure your projections are up to date at all times. Again, save. When you start your business, save, and then reinvest in your business. Don't take the money and go out and spend it and shop and all the stuff you don't need. Save for a rainy day. Save so you can grow and you can expand. And then again, reinvest in your business. Build equity, which will increase your net worth. And again, by equity, I mean, you know, building your personal net worth and building equity in your company. How you build your personal net worth is by saving, by investing, by having multiple streams of income, which means more income to save and invest in your 401k, your retirement. That's a part of your net worth. If you own a home, if you own multiple homes, pay those loans down as aggressively as you can. If you can get a 15-year mortgage, do that so you can pay that thing down fast and build equity. That's how you build and increase your net worth. And again, it positions you when you're ready to really go big on getting a loan. You know, you're talking about, you know, $500,000, $1 million loan, then you've done the right things with your business and personally where you can get that loan. And then one thing I do want us to do, if you're thinking about starting a small business in the next 12 months, I'm going to ask that you begin to build a relationship with a business banker. It's a little difficult right now with COVID. But what you can do is you can pick up the phone. They're there in the branches. You can't go into the branch yet, but they're there. And so pick up a phone and call and say, hey, you know, my name is Michelle Ballard. You know, I own this business and I'm looking at possibly getting bank financing in the next 6-12 months. I want to get some information on what's your process? What would you need from me? Can you walk me through the process and help me? And trust me when I tell you, I think 9 out of 10 will be more than willing to help you to show you, give you the ins and outs of how their processes work, what's required of you as far as documentation, whether you need 2 years of financials or personal financial statement, whether they require projections or business plan, because based on the size of the loan, they may not need all that stuff. So, but if you don't know, you don't call, you don't find out, you don't know. So I would just say really build that relationship, because what it did for me, when somebody called me ahead of time and said, this is what I'm looking for, even though they weren't ready at that time, I worked with them. And when they came back, it might have taken 3 months, 6 months, a year. But when they came back and we got that loan approved, it was so rewarding for them and me. But because I knew them, you know what I'm saying, I was willing to go the extra mile to help them with the business plan and stay late and work with them to you just do more, because they show that interest and say, you know, I want the loan. I would do whatever you tell me to do. I just don't know what to do. Then I would go the extra mile. And what I found is my teammates at Truist, BB&T, other banks are definitely willing to do that. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the unknown, but take the first step to call and find out what's needed, what's necessary, and build that relationship. The last thing I would tell you is that, yes, we want to do loans. We want to do financing, but I would also advise you that, again, we're in uncharted times. And so I would ask you to go to, if you're looking to start a small business, a nonprofit, if you're doing anything positive in the community, just start going to websites. Start with banks. Start with Truist Foundation. Start with Chase Bank, Bank of America, JP Morgan. Just start with banks and you can build out from there. But just start going to their foundations or going to their websites and see what they're doing. They're putting so much money back into because Black Lives Matter. So banks are putting and companies are putting billions of dollars into our communities. But if we don't know, we don't go research and find out, it's just sitting there. And I know that our bank has partnered with a bank called Cornerstone. And basically what they've done is say, okay, Black people won't come to us like we want them to. So we're going to partner with somebody that is doing the work in the Black community. We're going to fund them, give them the money so they can make small business loans to Black-owned Black businesses. And so there are many, many banks doing that because they want to get that money out because of, all the social unrest. And when I tell you millions and billions of dollars are out there, so if you're doing anything positive, the money's there. And it may be in the form of a grant where you don't even have to pay it back. So make sure you go look for the free money first. And if you can't find the free money, then you consider applying for a loan. But there's so much grant money out there now, so much low income loans, because again, people like banks like Truist are partnering with other people in the community doing the work and saying, we want to get this money into Black and brown hands. Help us, please. So the money's there. And so I hope you go and look for it. So that is my presentation. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. It helped me a lot. One question I have that was in the chat that I put in the chat. I own a commercial property. However, it does need renovation. And so my question was, does SBA loans help with that?
Yes,
Okay,
they do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's CNI, right? It's owner occupied, not CRE. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's owner occupied. Yes, if it's owner occupied SBA, that could be an option.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question?
Michelle, I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, you did a fantastic job. I loved your
Thank
presentation.
you.
So the question I have is this. I know a person who just started a business. They actually got established their LLC last year. They're still working full time, but they're in the process of getting their business started on a part-time basis because they're working towards retirement. Yes. And the business in and of itself, the gentleman is a life coach. He's a life coach. So he wants to work with boys and men, which is a unique position because a lot of times we see a lot of programs for girls and for women, but you don't see much for boys and men. And so he was advised, or he was told, of course, contact someone with the grants that will write up grants to apply for grants, federal grants, and maybe even get some government contracts, that type of thing. And so I told him, and I'm glad you mentioned this, I'm asking this question of you because you made reference to the altruist community partnering with local banks to have funding. Would he need to go through a grant writer to have access to those funds, or in investigating these various banks, be able to go directly to the bank on his own behalf?
Yeah, so is he doing a nonprofit or?
No. It's an LLC.
It's a for-profit?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's for-profit, then he would not be able to. So he would need to, so BB&T, our foundation only gives grants to nonprofits. We don't give it to for-profits. Yeah.
Okay.
So any grants that he would get would have to come through
To a nonprofit. Yeah, one of the things I advised him, and tell me this, because he's considered partnering with other nonprofits to facilitate his programs through nonprofits, and then they can through a collaboration. So I said, well, you just need to find a nonprofit, I believe, that you trust, that has a good credit rating, who has a good reputation, and then let them apply, and you all through partnership make it work. And so, would you advise that as well? Does that make sense?
I don't know how that will work now. I don't know about the reporting. It makes sense, but the only thing is the reporting for nonprofits. If they apply for grants, it's very specific, and they have to report, who the money went to. Okay. So I'm not sure how that will work as far as them reporting that they paid somebody an outside, like a for-profit to do the work.
It depends on.
I'm not sure about that piece.
Would it depend on the specifics of the grant? I got you. Okay, I got you.
Yes, absolutely.
Gotcha.
So he probably would need to get somebody, an advisor that works, or consultant that does grant writing, that would really have a better idea about that partnership. Would that be viable?
Thank you. Let me ask you this. Now, here's another question. I have one or two friends. Well, I've noticed a pattern. Let me just say it this way, because some of them are friends and some of them are not. They have their own business, but they've established a nonprofit as well. So like one of my friends who's a client, she's self-employed. She's actually a realtor, but a percentage of all the sales from the sales of the homes the money she makes, she allocates to her nonprofit that she operates legitimately. I've seen a lot of that in the way of a pattern for some business owners. They do the business and the nonprofit conjunction. Do you see a lot of that as well in their lending?
I haven't seen a lot of that, but I do the same thing. I have a nonprofit I'm starting as well, and my business will do 50% of the revenue will go to the nonprofit.
Gotcha.
But I haven't seen that with nonprofits. I really don't see that. Yeah. One thing I will say too is that a pattern that I did notice as well is that for the PPP loans that are out now, SBA loans, which is free money. Is that, again, when I talked about having your documentation in order, because basically that was literally free money. All you had to have was documentation saying this was my payroll for 2019. It literally was like a few documents, and that's why I was so confused when people were saying we keep getting denied, Black people getting denied. I'm like, but there's no denying. Like, if you have your documentation, like it's free money. And so that's why it's so important that we have our documentation in order so that we can continue to take advantage of all this free money, because again, the pandemic is not over and there's going to be more money, I believe, out there. And so we need to have our ducks in a row, so to speak. And it's basically documentation so we can have access to all this free money. And again, if you're going to go to Truist Foundation, I mean, again, they're giving away millions and millions of dollars. And it's basically having your stuff together saying, this is what I'm doing. Here's my documentation. And I'm asking for, 100,000, 50,000, 25,000 for my nonprofit. And I mean, like, they're just trying to get the money out the door as fast as they can.
Michelle, here's another question. I operate primarily within the home-based business arena, obviously, as I shared earlier. So most of the ladies, most of the women, most of my clients or people that I engage with are women. So the majority of them are on the direct sales side. And then there are others who may be like seamstresses, or they're small caterers. They work outside of their home as well. With those who fall in that arena and they need a little extra cash, they're not going to need the $25,000 loans or nothing. They may just need the $2,000, the $5,000, the $10,000. They don't have employees or staff. They don't have a payroll. They're just going through the motions, buying and selling and buying and selling. What documentation, would their documentation need to be any different, or would they just need to bring their Schedule C from their accountant?
It'll be their Schedule C.
Okay.
They will use a Schedule C, and depending upon how if it's a small, probably like, I think less than 25,000, the documentation is really very streamlined. So it probably would just be the Schedule C, maybe like for 2 years. Okay. If it's a little bit more, they may ask for like a personal financial statement, but it's very simple. Schedule C.
With that, does
As
that
long as
apply for the PP loans? Because they don't have payroll, they don't have staff, but they can do,
Yeah.
they have suffered, some of them haven't, but you know, some of them have suffered a little bit. I think one of my friends or clients is a caterer. So of course she was catering out of her home. Now all of a sudden people don't want to be around, they don't know if they want food out of your, you know, that kind of thing. So
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. And I mean, literally there's probably like 10 different forms. They really went out of their way to say, you know, any type of form, as long as it showed that you paid your payroll, whether you paid yourself or you paid one employee. I mean, they've gotten it laid out. So as long as you can document your payroll, then you can get PPP funding, that free money. And basically after, I think it's like after 6 months, long as you can justify or show that you kept your employees for, I think it's 6 to 8 weeks, that money is forgiven. So when I tell you it is free money, it's free.
okay. Thanks, Michelle.
Well, that was one of the questions that I had, because the business that, you know, was my father's business, he passed suddenly in March. And so before that, we had the business closed because of COVID purposes. And of course, we never really opened it back up yet because of COVID, of course. But right now, he was the only person that was working the business. And so now that's why I said we got this commercial property and we still got everything in it. So we technically can really open the business back up, but now we would have to find some workers and train and things like that now. So that's where I'm trying to figure out, how do we use that PPP loan to be able to restart this business?
Now that may be, if he was the only person and he's passed, I'm not sure if he would qualify for that loan. Okay. Because that is based on, so you're looking, they look back and say, you know, so now you can do either you can do 2019 or 2020. And they're looking at documentation to say, how many employees did you have if you do 2020? But if that person is deceased, they can't even apply for the loan. So I don't think
he was deceased in March of 2020. So
right. Well, what I'm saying is, like, you want to apply, if you can't apply now because he's already passed.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
If he was the only employee, there's no income that you're getting, because the person that had the payroll, the income, is no longer here. So then they were in the SBA's eyes, based on those rules, there will be no application.
Yeah, I was wondering, would it transfer over to my mom, being that now she's the owner of that business? So
I don't think so, but I mean, what you could call your bank and ask them and just see if there's like any type of leeway with that.
Okay.
But Michelle, I think it's important too, for the sake of those who may not know, when you say PPP, what does that actually represent? Because one of the things that I only say that because I had people, you know, ask me about it. I said, well, you don't have a payroll. I don't know if that would apply to you. So would you please maybe give a little insight as to what PPP represents?
Yeah, so that is your payroll protection loan done by SBA. And that is the money when President Joe Biden just passed that $1.9 trillion bill, the most recent one. There was money in there for a second round of PPP, payment protection. So what it does is, if they want you to keep your employees paid, so when the pandemic is over, you have those people there that can go back into the business. So it's trying to keep people employed so we can reopen, but it's also trying to put money in pockets so people can pay their bills, pay their rent, their mortgage during this pandemic. And so what it typically is basically all you have to be able to show is how many employees you had in 2019 or 20, and what their payroll was, annual payroll for that year. And basically you get whatever that number is, you get 2.5 times that amount. So whatever your total payroll was for the year, let's say of 2020, then the bank, so if your payroll was $100,000, then you get a check for 2.5 times that amount to cover those employees. And it's supposed to be like for 6 to 8 weeks to keep them paid while if they're not working or whatever. And a lot of them are still working. That's the thing we don't understand. People got the money in the beginning. The first one, people got it just because they were freaked out. They didn't know what's going to happen. So they got the money and didn't need it. And then on the second one, the only thing you have to prove is that your sales dropped 25% from 2019 to 2020. If your sales drop, even though you're still working, you may have made a bigger profit, But all you have to show is that your sales dropped 25%. How many employees you have, same thing. You got 20 employees and your total payroll for 2020 was $1 million. You get 2.5 times that amount, no questions asked. And as long as you can show when they come back in like 6 months, did you keep those employees for, I think it's 6 to 8 weeks? If the answer is yes, that money is yours, whether you needed it or not. Yeah. So they have made allowances for if you're a sole proprietor, if it's just you, if you have the 1099, however you get paid, as long as you can show that you are paying somebody, that SBA has made an allowance for that so that people can get paid.
All right. Do we have any more questions? Are there grants? Are there grants for nonprofits which are not a 501c3?
I don't know of any. You have to be a 501c3 because that gives you a tax exempt status.
Exactly. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Miss Joy, I'm sorry.
Yes, Michelle, I have a home care agency. I forgot what I was gonna say. I already have a business account and everything. Should I go through my my bank? I'm sorry, a business bank account. Should I go through them to ask about a loan? Like I have to say that my business haven't been doing so good because my full time I haven't really gave that business my all because I'm still at my full time job. So I deal with my my baby, which I should give it my all so I can get things moving. But I need a lot of different things to put more into my business, and I don't have the money personally for it, but I don't know how to go about getting it.
Yeah, I would definitely whoever your business checking account is. If that's, sorry,
PNC.
Yes, I will call PNC and ask them who's a business banker. You like speak to someone and just tell them your story. I have a small business that I'm starting right now. It's part-time. I still work full-time, but my goal is to eventually move into doing this full-time. And I just want to get some information on what your process is for a small business loan. What documentation do you need? And just kind of, it's almost like you're saying, can you help me with the process? And I don't know of anybody who would say, no, I don't have time. They will give you the brochures. And right now I can say everything is probably virtual, but they can email you brochures. They can talk you through the process of what's required, what their financing product, what they will recommend. So I would definitely start that process because what you want to do, you want to build a relationship. You want to build a rapport with that person. So when you are ready, they know Joy's name. They know Joy's been working. Joy's been calling me now for the past year, but she finally came in and applied for that loan. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I get that loan done for her. But if you just walk off the street and things are not so much in order, they'd be like, well, no, they could say they shouldn't, but it's easier for them to say, well, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Come back when you get it together. But if you've been calling them and you have a rapport built with them, they're going to go that extra mile to make sure that whatever you need to get that loan approved, that they help you with it. So I would definitely start with that person.
Okay, and now I know this information. I actually in January, I believe, someone from the PNC reached out to me, and I had to go in just so they can follow up, make sure all my paperwork, my information was still the same. So I actually, now that I spoke with you this evening, I can actually follow up with the young lady. I have her information in my email and on my paperwork. So I can follow up with her and just go over things and ask her. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful. You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right. I don't seem like we have any other questions. So before we leave, one of the things I would love for, if you're a business owner, if you would like to share your business, this will be a great opportunity. You're also on social media, so not only will we see or hear about your business, but other people will hear and see your business as well. So if there are any business owners, we'll take this time for you to do a quick little commercial plug of your business if there's anyone that would like to share.
I apologize. I've been working out, so I don't want to show my face.
It's okay.
It's best. But I actually, myself and my daughter started, actually I just trademarked it. I haven't really done a nonprofit or anything, but it's Why Bully Me, and we actually wrote a book. It's on Amazon, and it's also on my website, www.whybullymE.com, and I'll put it in the chat too. And I'm also on Instagram. I usually try to put something up daily, just different quotes, basically for kids. So if your kids is on, it's towards parents too to share with their kids. But if I know some people have kids on Instagram, but if you have even young adults, because everybody get bullied as adults too. Some people get bullied. But if you would like to just go and connect, I'll put that. I'm on Instagram. I haven't done a Facebook page yet, but I will share that as well. And you can just go on there and connect with me. And I have another book coming out soon. You know, my daughter's still getting it together. So it's something that we'll be doing, also sell shirts on my website. Thank you, ladies. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share their business?
Hello, my name is Tasha Drummond, and awesome, great information tonight. I really appreciate all both speakers and this whole week with financial literacy.
Yes.
Well, my business is Simply Kingdom Business LLC, and I had the honor to also present one night this week. What we do, we have real estate, financial education, and we talk about insurance as well, so we can educate the community and give information and provide, you know, for just our legacy and help wealth building. So that's what my company is about. And again, my name is Tasha Drummond. Thank you, Margie.
Thank you, Tasha. Tasha was the speaker on the second night, and she did an awesome job talking to the youth about financial freedom and staying financially free. And if you have the opportunity to watch that, you can definitely go to our YouTube channel at AGS NCNW, and you'll be able to see the whole week of this financial seminar. Is there anyone else who would like to share their business? Okay. All right, well, I would like to share mine. I have a nonprofit called Margie McLean Foundation. And the purpose of it is to build community leaders for the 21st century. And one of the things that we are currently doing is a community baby shower, which will be May 8th. We will be working with community leaders, and we will provide not only just items for women and men who are in need of things, becoming a new parent, a new foster parent, or a new adoptive parent, but we also give them some tools to leave with. We will have a speaker who will be coming in to speak to them about how to build their resume. We also will have a speaker who will come in and do an empowerment workshop, Miss Sabrina Mackey, and Miss Joy Lowe will be actually coming to do the resume. We will also have a young lady who is a doula, and she will come in and also do a workshop with the young ladies to talk to them about the process of that process. Other things that we do is I have a mentoring program called Ladies Equality and called My Mind Matters, which is a social and emotional mentoring program. We'll actually be starting that on next month. I also have a business called Chemistry Fashion Boutique, and that's spelled K-E-M-I-S-T-R-Y, Chemistry Fashion Boutique. Both are on Facebook and Instagram, and there I sell products for women of African descent, but anyone can purchase it, of course. But also just to show our beauty. And so that's two of the things that I do currently. And I've also started a reading, a rainbow story time where I have authors, Joy, hint, hint. I have different authors come once a month, come to read their books. And also we are just trying to build some type of social platform for our kids. And so the kids will come on and we have the authors or anyone who would like to read a book will come online, and we will have a story time with the kids. And then the authors would get a chance to interact with the kids to get them to talk a little bit. And we also do some workout as well. So if you ever get an opportunity, please follow me on Instagram and also on Facebook at Margie McLean Foundation and also at Chemistry Fashion Boutique. All right, is there anyone else?
Margie, before we leave, I posted my information in the chat, but I'm known as the work from home CEO, and my platform is Success from Home. And I do that in various ways. Number one, I'm a sales director with Mary Kay Cosmetics. That's my number one. But I also work in the publishing industry. So I've written several books, and all of my books and everything that I do, I should say, is about building the confidence of women. Because I believe when women have an increased level of confidence, their pocketbooks increase accordingly. So I'm all about improving and doing everything that I can in my power to empower and to inspire and educate women. So I do that under the umbrella of course, Mary Kay Cosmetics, but I also do that under the publishing and speaking aspect. So I'll be hosting this fall my second event called the Work from Home Expo. And so, Michelle, I probably will be calling you. But during that expo, what I do is I provide a platform for all home-based entrepreneurs, whether they're in my specific direct sales company or not. If they're, regardless of what version of businesses they have, if they're working from home, that expo is to create a community so that they will get the tools and the information that they need to take their businesses to the next level. And so the first year I did it was in 2019. We had it here in Fayetteville at the Ramada. 2020 wouldn't let us be as great as we wanted to because of COVID. And this year I'm going to host it virtually. So I will have speakers talking about a range of different different topics, because again, my goal is to advocate. That's who I am. That's what I do. That's what I'm about, advocating for the home-based business owner, because I believe when I help others succeed, I succeed in return. So that's it for now. But again, I post my website information, my Linktree link, and people can connect with me in all my capacities from that link.
Wonderful. All right. So
To ask Ms. Shorts something.
Mm-hmm.
Is your name Anissa, your first name?
Anissa.
Anissa. Okay, that's why I said Mrs. Shorts. Anissa, as far as Mary Kay, I have some old products. It's a facial. Do it go out of you think I can't use no more?
A 3-year shelf life. Our product, especially if it's
3-year
shelf life. If it's older than 3 years, you want to get rid of it. And you want to call me for something fresh.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I love that. All right, if we don't have anyone else that would like to share or any other questions, I would like to again thank our speakers for coming. And if you can give a clap emoji or something in there, please do. Before we go, I always like to share a little bit about ourselves. Again, we are the Alamance-Guilford section. When I became president, this is my second term actually as president, and when I became president, one of the things I wanted to do was to make sure that we become more visible in our community. It's always good to donate, but we just give the fish, but we don't teach anyone how to fish. And that was one of the main things that I want to make sure that we do, that we actually teach our community how to fish, how to go and fish. And so with that being said, if you, one of the things we are doing now is our webinars. When COVID first hit, it was kind of hard for us to get out and do the seminars that we normally do. One of the seminars we did do was the human trafficking seminar. Other things that we have done. So when COVID hit, we were just sitting there, and I as president, I said, we can't just have meetings every third Saturday. So we have to do something. So we started our first webinar with the stigmas of mental health within among people of color. And then we moved on to You Can Vote. And so from there, that's pretty much been our main platform, is doing our webinars. So I appreciate you coming with that. If you are interested in joining the Alamance-Guilford section, if you are in the, well, you can be anywhere you want to be, but if you're interested in joining the Alamance-Guilford section, please email me at alamancegilfordncnw@gmail.com. I am located, personally right now, I'm located now in Fayetteville. I moved back a year ago, but I'm still president of that section. But we do have sections in Fayetteville, and also I think we have 2 sections in Fayetteville right now. So if you are interested in joining, I definitely can put you in contact with the president of those sections. And we actually have sections across the state. We also have sections in other states. So if you're interested in just joining NCNW, please just email me and I definitely will get you in contact with someone in the area, in your area. If you can see that we actually have different affiliates that we affiliate with. And so these are also a couple of our affiliations here. And so if you are part of any of these organizations, you actually can join through those organizations as well. We have started a youth program. So if you are interested in getting your young lady or male to join, please let us know between the ages of 11 and 18. For us, we ask for our youth to reside in Guilford County and Alamance County. But again, as I stated before, we do have other sections. We promote academic excellence, we promote community involvement, leadership skills, and we connect our youth with community leaders. If you are interested in your child joining, please make sure that you email our 3rd Vice President, Teresa Whitsitt, at the email below. And again, we are looking for both men and women to join. It's not just women. We are looking for men because we need men to help us carry on the fight. And we are really family-based. So that includes the men, the children, grandma, grandpa, whoever would love to join, please tell them to come. As my national membership chair stated, if we can get the men in, we can get the women. So we are looking for you to join. And again, thank you. This has been an awesome week. I hope everyone had a takeaway from this week. If you can, please email us at Alamance-Guilford NCNW and tell us what was 1 or 2 things that you learned from this week. And if you missed any of the workshops, please follow us on our YouTube channel at AGS NCNW, and you'll be able to see all of the workshops that we had all week. And again, thank you to our speakers, Ms. Short and also Ms. Ballard. I thank you so much. And this ends our financial literacy webinar. Thank you. Good night. And I'll try to I'll try my best to